Hi, America.
Hello, America. Welcome to
Angel and the Wiz.
Angel and the Wiz.
I apologize. I've got a bit of a head cold, so excuse me in advance for all the hacking you might hear tonight. It's pretty bad too. I blame my sister for my cold.
Why?
Well,
Our time today is 25:20. Okay.
so my sister, my brother-in-law calls me up and says, "I'm taking your sister to the hospital. Your sister's going to the ER. Can you pick up the kids?"
Why?
And I said, "Well,
Yeah, why?
why?" And they said, "Well, they think she may have bronchitis or pneumonia, so they're sending her to the ER for chest X-rays."
Wow.
I said, "Okay, good. You know, at least she's not like, you know,
Yeah,
I
right,
think the
like
worst:
heart
car
attack.
accident,
Right, sure,
heart
right.
attack, brain tumor, you know, whatever."
Something, right.
So I go and I pick up
my shirt.
my niece and I
Yeah.
get my nephew, and my niece is coughing. You know, I'm like, "Oh, this is not good." Then I take the kids home.
Hmm.
My brother-in-law's coughing, and my sister, who was diagnosed with bronchitis, is coughing
Right.
now.
Right.
So I'm just in a house full of. The only person not coughing is my nephew,
Right.
who I think has the immune system of God knows what.
Okay.
He could probably lick like.
Am I gonna need shots after
No.
the shooting today?
No, but he could probably lick like a staph infection and then be like, "Oh, it
Okay.
tastes like chicken," and then
Right.
that's it.
Okay.
You know?
Well, good.
So.
Well, he's young, you know.
So they're all coughing, and I'm like, "Oh, this is not good." And that was Wednesday, and
Okay.
then a couple days go by, and I start to feel like my body's fighting something.
Right.
And then last week, last week evening, I was like, I don't feel right.
No.
Got up the next morning, went to work like I normally do,
Right.
and then I went, and then that Sunday evening, I felt horrible.
Right.
Like I couldn't, just like bricks were on my chest.
Uh huh.
So I went to the doctor, and they're like, "Oh, you just have a cold," and I'm like, "Are you sure?"
Well,
So.
well, that's good. Better hear that
Right,
than
and-
you know you
but
got a
I've
hoof
had
in
it-
mouth. You
I've
know.
had it for a week,
Well.
and now I'm like, well, that's just fine.
Did you take care of your cold? Did you have chicken noodle soup and stuff like that?
I have done that. I have
Okay,
done
that's
that.
very important.
But it's just.
Put your feet up, watch some DVDs or something. Well,
I watched Magic Mike.
you know, whatever that is. I have no
It's a
idea.
movie about male strippers.
Thanks for sharing.
Starring Channing Tatum. All the female viewers know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right. All the mothers just grabbed their kids and ran
Are
out
you
of the
kidding
room.
me? Most of the women who saw the show were mothers. Dropped their kids off at they were having Magic Mike parties.
I'm really scared now. Well, that's good. This makes it seem like a very tame show this week.
Yes.
Oh, we have special words for the next 2 weeks.
We do.
And I want to raise my hand so all of you who have had enough politics for a while, it's not politics based. Although, if you reflect on some of the things we say, you might conjure up the image of some of
Politics.
political figures.
Right.
But we are not going to deal with that.
We're
Okay.
politic free this week.
This week's song. Oh, this is totally fitting. This week's song is "The Devil Used to Be." At the end of the show, the word of the week is deception. Now, this week the word is deception. Next week the word is lying. And I suppose you could make the argument that lying is a way to deceive, but that's not how I'm going to approach it. We'll talk about it when we get there. And the learning spot is about the devil.
Oh boy.
So that's this week. So, and one of my notes that I have, and I
Okay.
so this is the first time I've ever done it, so I could try and read it without my glasses.
Yeah, let me just show. I can even read it.
You know, people could probably read it at home, but
Okay.
it's still tough for me. And these don't have to be, in other words, I put everything up here, but it doesn't matter what show it shows up
Okay.
in. So, but I want to start with this because I don't know where it's going to go. I don't mind working for what I have, but I object to someone suggesting I need to give it away. We often hear the term, give it back to the community. And I understand where that comes from, you know, but personally, I think that kind of decision is a personal one that should be made by somebody, because I think giving it back, you know, you're successful and they think you should, you know, return. The people, the takers, they believe that we should have to give some of that back to the community. You didn't do that on your own, you know, the whole community helped you and all that jazz. But 9 times out of 10, you know, the Pareto principle, the smallest amount of people actually affect the greatest amount of change. And most people that succeed and are successful really worked for it. Nobody handed it to them. I mean, I realize that there's some kind of there's some inheritance, which I have no problem with. I love the concept of somebody building up an estate and then being able to pass it down for a few generations so that those people do not have to work to survive. They can live life. We're so wrapped up in this work ethic. Well, I guess a lot of people aren't wrapped in it. They just take. But for the people that they get it from, for the most part, work. And I don't think I think the people that work for it and build it from nothing or from less than nothing or from more whatever, I wish them the best, the most success possible, because the more success they have, then it spreads. What do they say? Rising tide lifts all boats. But I'm offended with this new way we're trying to approach stuff well, you owe it to all of these people. Well, I should be able to decide who I think I owe it to. And I think nowadays people are more learned, they're more educated, they're more well-versed. And from what I can tell about Americans, most of them are generous. And most of the successful ones, all these non-profits that we have that run around and depend on contributions, they don't get any of that money from people on welfare. All of that money comes from people that work hard for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so I don't think we should be attacking it. That's another one of these things that bothers me. In the sense that we have accomplished so much in such a short period of time. I really think, we said this once before on another show, I think it's time to start appreciating what we've done while we look forward and plan what we're going to do next. We don't take any time for today. You know what I mean? We don't take any time to look at what we've accomplished. I think I used horse and carriage to try and make the point last time, but that fact of the matter is, as we make progress, and you said something so smart, I thought was so cool. You can only accomplish so much in your period of time. You can't do everything. You shouldn't plan on doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think politicians shouldn't be baited.
I thought this was a
Well, it's politically free, but just making the point that's why I don't think politicians in general should make vast promises. I think they should pick a few things that they think they can really do something about and focus on them. And when the media tries to pump them for more and more and more, don't have the courage to say, fellas, this is going to take all the time I have. These few little things, I'll be lucky to get them done. Honesty, so anyway.
I get irritated with people who have to always have like the latest and greatest in everything.
Oh yeah, right. What's ever current.
But then they go and complain that they don't have enough money to do things. And I
right.
know that I have been I've fallen under that category sometimes, but really
something really catches your imagination, you want.
Something, but not so much anymore. I mean, some of it has to do with the fact that my financial situation is less than great.
Right.
But
welcome to the real world.
Right.
Everybody's with you.
I don't need the latest and greatest phone. Do I need a new cell phone? Yes, I do need a new cell phone.
Right.
Do I want to go and get a new cell phone?
Do I need one that can drive the car?
Right, I don't need one. Like my boyfriend got one that has a RF chip on it that he could turn on my TV with his phone.
Cell phone.
Yeah, and I'm like, what's the purpose of having that?
Right.
Like, I want a new cell phone because my screen is cracked.
Right. It's time.
It's running low. Like, it's slow. It was fast at the time, but now as applications require more memory, every time they do a Facebook update, it updates on the phone, or they do so now it's running slower.
Oh, sure.
So I need a phone that can run faster.
Right.
I have ones that have better antennas so I can get better service.
What increases speed? More RAM, access memory, random access memory?
Yeah.
If you put that in, your computer can speed up?
Well, but on a computer it should, but not on a cell phone. I can't put that on a cell phone.
Of course.
So, excuse me. So it's, but I'm like, well, I'll just have to settle for the one I have and deal with it.
Wow.
When it completely kaputs.
Wow.
Or like my sister, they have this giant TV.
Uh-huh.
And we went to, and then she she can't do something because she can't afford it. And
Right.
I'm like, well, you didn't have to buy your daughter 2 pairs of shoes today. She needed 1 pair.
Right.
And I told her, and she was complaining. She goes, "Oh, these shoes for kids, and they're $45." And I said, "How much do you spend in how much are the shoes you normally buy her?
Right.
$20.
Right.
How often do you have to buy her shoes? Every 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
So in 1 year's time, you're spending $40 to $80.
Right.
Or $40
A year,
to
for a year.
$60 a month a year in shoes
Right.
for your daughter." She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Those are $45. Those are going to last her for a year because they're not cheap $20 shoes."
Right.
Oh, I said, "So you won't have to spend $40 to $60
Right.
a year. You're going to spend $45 and not have to worry about them."
Right.
Oh. Now, did she have to buy the second pair of shoes she got her?
Right.
No.
Well, but listen,
I can't remember. I was like, okay, whatever.
I agree with
But that's what gets me when it comes to like generosity and people who want, and then they complain. I'm like,
Right.
you
Illustrative example. When something comes out and it's new, it's expensive. My dad had one of those little, those watches when they were first digital, the red ones.
Mm-hmm.
He probably paid $500 for that. You can get it now for $9.95.
Right.
I mean, okay, there's a lot of years in the middle, but if you don't have to always have everything the second it comes out.
Right.
But hey, listen, for those people that can have it,
That's
God bless
great.
them.
That's great.
I totally support that.
Oh, excuse me.
Give
I'm
me.
so sorry, folks.
That's what's your time?
11:29.
Okay. Here we go. This is the word of the week. Comes in with its little thing. It's got a little. The word of the week this week is deception. Okay, and we'll get into lying next week because there's such a difference. But the practice of deceiving is not a mistake. It's not an accident. It's not something that happened, oh shucks. Deception is when you know something is one thing and you say it's something else. Or you know that when you offer an alternative to the reality, that is deceiving.
I would define it as twisting the truth to serve yourself.
Or a purpose.
Yeah,
I think
to
I would
serve
go
a
with a purpose.
purpose.
Okay, altering the truth,
Twisting the truth.
twisting the truth
Yeah.
to serve a purpose.
Yes.
Okay, deception. Okay, that's like people make misstatements. People lie. Oh no, that's next week. I want to say that because I have
Well,
really
we
good.
should at least clarify the difference between deception and lying.
Well, I think
here.
that lying is like the adverb and deception is the noun. Like deception is what you're doing, and lying is the vehicle you use.
I guess I would say I look at lying as you're not twisting the truth. You're just not telling the truth.
Prefabric. Well, see,
Yeah.
that's why I feel deception is
Where
the same way in the sense.
deception, I find deception to be.
That's
it's
a conscious plan.
It's a conscious plan that has to be based in some sort of truth. Like some action happens, and so you twist the rationalization for the action. You're not, that's how I look at it.
Okay. Well, no. Well,
You're
that's
deceiving somebody.
Yeah. You're. But the bottom line is, it's not what you're doing, is however you want to phrase it, is you're telling a falsehood. You are telling something or doing something that's untrue to make a suggestion of something else. In other words, deception is more like a planned lie. Okay, like I could say, I can tell a white lie and it's a white lie, or I can plan to deceive you, maybe if we were looking at it, even though
How about this? I've never lied
Right.
to my boyfriend.
right.
I've never lied. I have deceived him into feeling guilty to get something I want.
But how's that's not a lie? You didn't use a lie to do that?
I didn't use a lie.
Wasn't necessary.
It wasn't necessary. Not verbally lying. I didn't not tell the truth.
Yeah, see,
I might
lying's
have
still in there
acted. I
someplace.
might have acted out different emotions than what I was feeling to get a new DVD.
That's so honest. Well, no, but
Also in reality, it's also works vice versa. I know that it's like the head games.
Okay.
When you play, I know that he has deceived me
Okay.
to have something work in his advantage.
Right. Well, okay. Well, and then I wanted to address it. Next week we're going to talk about lying, and I give you a little tease. My illustrative example for lying, and I'll talk about this next week, is that if you say 4 plus floor is 7, and then you correct it. Oh no, I meant 8. That's misstating something. Saying you don't know anything about something is lying if you know it. Okay, so there's a difference between a misstatement and a lie. There's a difference between, and then in this instance, there's also a difference between a lie and a deception. A lie might be something that you just spring up on. You're getting caught. What were you doing last night? Oh, I was driving. I was at the bar. You know what I mean? And you were robbing a bank. Okay. Now that's a lie. That's not a planned out deception. Fair? Okay.
So all those times I lied can be considered deceptions.
Oh, there. So you go. You're off the hook.
I don't know, I always say that. Well, I can tell this next week.
Okay. Yeah, save it for lying. Okay, so now, our learning spot this week is cool because the name of the song this week is The Devil Used to Be. So our learning spot is on the devil.
Okay.
All stuff comes up. Oh, I didn't get the time.
Yeah,
What time is it?
flames coming
What time is it now?
16:15.
Okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
folks. If I don't do
flames.
this, I have real troubles. Okay.
Flames coming up.
Well, that's the interesting thing that I wanted. That's the reason I wanted to talk about the devil. When you say the devil, when you hear the devil, an assortment of images comes to mind to everybody, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the horned beast, and whatever you saw in whatever movie it was that scared you the most, things like that. But the thing that makes the devil dangerous, I think, is because sometimes he, she, they, it can look like people you know.
Oh, that's very true.
Okay? Sometimes
So true.
the devil, and sometimes, you've heard the phrase, the devil's in the details. Well, sometimes the devil is inside of a person or a person's motives, or and that's what I think. That's why I think right now we're in an exceptionally dangerous time, because we have so much media and so much information flying around that you can't examine motives. It's like I can't talk to you. I can't look you in the eye.
And you don't know what's a deception.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't tell the truths.
Yeah, and which ties into the word of the week. But also that and especially nowadays, people who maybe for whatever reason, and I believe there are reasons, and I believe there's chemical reasons, environmental reasons, upbringing reasons, all this stuff, where people cross over, okay? And now they're doing evil things, they're doing bad things. Sometimes they're visible. You can see them. They got a gun or a knife, or they're on the street or whatever, and they're very, very visible. Those aren't the ones that scare me as much as the ones that say, they dress in white. I was going to say, well, it's for national security, but sometimes it is. But that kind of a thing, where they aren't just practicing deception; they have mastered deception.
Yeah.
And what I find, I'm not trying to blame people that are successful as that. Although in the song, you'll hear in the song, I tie it into some success. But the point that I'm trying to make is, with all the information and as smart as people have gotten, people that want to do bad, they're thinking just as hard as the people that want to do good, maybe harder. You know what I mean? And what happens is they've found out that the best way, especially nowadays, to be effective as a devil is to not appear to be one. Do you know what I mean? I think we have way too much gray area. We have people that are not what they claim to be, whether they're on television or on the internet or in politics or whatever. I think there's just way too much of people having motives, unavailable motives,
Right.
unseen motives. Okay, so that's what that kind of thing bothers me. I care about folks. I like to see folks. Hello, princess. We just have a visitor. The lady comes in twice a week and takes the dog out. It's a really nice thing. But anyway, so that's so my learning spot to you is, don't just accept things at face value. Just because somebody's told you they're good doesn't mean they're good. Just because somebody else has told you they're good doesn't mean they're good. Just because somebody tells you somebody's bad doesn't mean they're bad. It's their opinion too often. Okay? And what I'm trying to give, especially you kids, I'm trying to give you something. We're going to talk about this next week. You have a resource that's available to you that you're losing. And we're going to talk about this next week. You don't, especially you young people, especially, if you're smart. I'm always amazed when I see young people smoking cigarettes. Why? After all we've shown them.
My nephew, funny about smoking cigarettes. My nephew, my sister's friend smokes. And my nephew says, "Why does she smoke?" And I said, "I don't know, you'd have to ask her." And he goes, "Well, doesn't she know smoking is bad and can kill you?" And I said, "I'm sure she does." And he goes, "Does that mean she wants to die?"
Wow.
This is an 8-year-old.
Yes, that's
making
great.
these conclusions. And I said, "I don't know." And he goes, "She just wants to die. I don't know why she's using cigarettes for that." And I'm
Wow.
like, okay, now how I, as the aunt, I don't quite know how to respond to this
Yeah,
because
but
I
what
don't
a
know.
great observation.
Yeah, I don't know the relationship that he has with
Right.
this friend, so
Right.
I'm like, well, you'll just have to ask her when you see her, and then I move on to the next topic or change the subject
Right.
because sometimes as the aunt, you don't know where you overstep your boundaries.
Oh no, I
So,
understand.
but it's really it's interesting
But it's
from
nice
a child's perspective to
Right.
get truth.
Yes.
And a child who doesn't understand deception, who knows what lying is.
Right. Lying is, I'm going to give you this ice cream if you do something and then you don't get it. That's lying.
Right. Did you, what happened, you hear a crash and so you walk in, what happened? I don't know. And you're like, your cup of juice is on the floor.
Right,
So
and you're standing here.
Yeah, so don't lie to me, what happened?
Yeah, how did it get there?
But it's amazing how when you have to go to, that they don't understand the concept of deception
Right.
yet.
And that's sweet,
And
that they're still clean.
And they're so honest. The
That's
kids are
right.
so honest.
Yeah, and it
So.
still amazes me. How am we're doing time? Okay, we're 21:50. We're in good shape. 22. We got to be out at 25:20. Well, anyway, so we talked. We just touched on it, both deception and the devil, and and isn't that sweet? Ben, isn't it true? Kids are just like kittens. They're so nice, and then they grow up.
No problems.
And we want, of course, we want them to be better. Okay, so this week's show, this week's song is called "The Devil Used to Be," and I tried in song to make the point that I tried to describe here on the show, and that is that you must sometimes you have to find out for yourself. Sometimes you just can't be led astray. And something I would share with you parents that have children, whatever you are, they're going to become that. So pay attention to that, okay? Because we have this illusion that, well, the children always rebel and they always are the opposite of their parents. They're the opposite of their parents after a certain age, for a while. This whole time growing up, they're turning into you. Then they have their rebellion, puberty, chemicals change and all that stuff, and they go through this period when you think you're a fool and you don't know nothing. And then they come back down to ground, the chemicals stabilize, and you've all gone through this, and all of a sudden you realize your parents really know a lot after all.
Yeah.
So so what I'm saying to you as parents is that you have a tremendous responsibility for the way your children turn out. Okay? And I think it's important that your children have that with you, not with the school, not with camp, not with Boy Scouts, everything. Those things are all marvelous and wonderful. I support them all. But you're where they learn about life. And you know what? I deal with kids a lot, and I can tell how a kid is raised just by the way he talks back to me. If I say something to him and he says thank you, I know that kid's in a good family. He's been raised, he understands courtesy and stuff like that. So keep in mind that your children are going to become you. And if you're not happy with the way you are, maybe it's time to, because it doesn't come with a manual. How many times we said that? But parenting is the critical key. in the future, and I'm starting to get a better feeling. Like you talked about that we got a generation here we got to deal with in there, but I think the kids behind them are going to be okay.
The kids that are being raised by my generation
Right.
are going to be okay.
They're going to be better than the
Because-
one before.
than the ones that are after us.
Yes.
Like the.
Well, but we talked about that,
Yeah,
Ron.
I'm like I don't want those kids. No.
I don't want to know
We're
who
in
they
trouble.
are.
We are
Right?
in trouble.
That's too funny.
I'm not, and people say, no, we are in trouble, people. So,
Okay.
I
Well,
better be on the lookout.
here is The Devil Used to Be, and I wish you all the very best, my dear.
Bye, America.
Bye.
Do something good every day and volunteer at your local animal shelter.
Even if it's a little thing.
Okay,
Okay, good deal.
This is kind of a song of warning, because you see, once upon a time, the devil dressed in red, he frightened little children with horns upon his head, and often in the evening he'd scare off everything. He used to know that he was wrong, a devil and not a king, but now he rides in a big black limousine, and he sometimes dresses white to not be seen. So you better look real closely now at all the things you see, 'cause the devil used to be, the devil used to be, he used to be so different, but now he can't be seen. He used to range his shape to be a serpent and such. He didn't used to be people you know, people you could touch. So watch out now, my children, the man plays a different game. For this time he wants to win, and that would be a shame, because now he rides in a big black limousine. And he sometimes dresses white to not be seen. So you better look real closely now at all the things you see, 'cause the devil used to be, the devil used to be, he used to be so different, but now he can't be seen.
And sung by The Wizard.